Title: The Lemonade Stand on a sunny Sunday morning, Emma, aged 8, and her brother, Theo, aged 10, decided to start a lemonade stand right outside their suburban home. It wasn't just to fill their piggy banks. Emma had recently learned about charity and helping others in school, and she was eager to put her lessons into practice. "Let's donate the money we earn to the local animal shelter," Emma suggested enthusiastically, remembering class visit to the shelter. "That's a cool idea," Theo agreed, as he pulled out a worn-out chalkboard to scribble their prices on. They decided 50 cents a cup was fair. Setting up their stand with a colorful banner and cups, they started squeezing lemons with all their might. Their mom contributed a big bag of sugar and a pitcher, while their dad brought out a table and a pair of chairs. Family teamwork in full swing. As the first customer trickled in, drawn by the kids' giggles and signs, the children's confidence bloomed. They learned to greet customers with a smile, explain where their earnings were going, and even handle a few not-so-friendly comments about their kid-made lemonade. Around noon, a surprise visitor stopped by their school teacher, Mrs. Foster, along with her pet dog. They chatted about the shelter and the importance of community help. "You kids are making a big difference just by doing something small," she said, stirring pride in Emma and Theo. By sunset, Emma and Theo counted their earnings. They had raised $67. More importantly, they had learned the power of initiating change, the essence of customer service, and the joy of teamwork. The next day at school, Emma couldn't wait to share their success story, filled with newfound knowledge and the sweet taste of lemonade on her tongue. Title: The Magic of Mistakes *. Once upon a time in a small, bustling town named Willowbrook, there was a special school known simply as Kids Learn. It wasn't famous for its tall buildings or fancy playgrounds, but it was unique for its belief in the magic of mistakes. Jamie, a bright-eyed 7-year-old, stepped into Kids Learn on an autumn morning. He carried a backpack full of crisp notebooks and a heart full of eagerness. However, little secret, he was terrified of making mistakes. He worried that his mistakes would make him appear less clever in front of his friends and teachers. The first challenge came in Mrs. Lee's art class. The task was to paint a tree, but Jamie accidentally knocked over a container of blue paint, splattered his almost perfect tree with unexpected blue dots. Almost immediately, tears welled up in his eyes. But Mrs. Lee, with a gentle smile, pointed out, "Look, Jamie, your tree now has a unique pattern. It's like cherry blossoms in spring but blue. Why don't we call it a magic mistake?" Jamie, sniffing back tears, peered at his painting. It wasn't ruined, it was different, and beautifully so. Throughout the year, Jamie learned that Kids Learn as not just a name but a belief. Each class, from science experiments gone awry to misspelled words and spelling bee contests, was designed to show that errors were not dead ends but paths to discovery. By the end of the school year, Jamie wasn't just a bundle of nerves afraid to get things wrong. He as a confident explorer, learning voraciously through missteps and blunders. With every mistake, the children at Kids Learn didn't just fill out their notebooks. They expanded their horizons, embraced creativity, and most importantly, unlocked the magic of learning. One beautiful mistake at a time.
In the small, sunny town of Maplewood, the local library stood as a beacon of knowledge and joy. Every summer, the library hosted the much-anticipated Kids Learn program, designed to blend fun with education and bring the community together. This summer, Mrs. Elsie, the librarian, decided to theme the program, Choo-Choo Through the Jungle. She transformed the reading room into a jungle filled with plush green vines, cardboard trees, and animals hidden in nooks. The child Ren, ranging from 5 to 12, were divided into teams named after various jungle creatures. The first task was a scavenger hunt. Each team was given riddles that guided them through various sections of books, from mysteries and sciences to fairy tales and history. As the children solved each riddle, they were no just hunting for the next clue but also stumbling upon fascinating facts about the world. For example, Team Tiger learned about the water cycle while searching for a clue near a display of rainforest books, whereas Team Snake discovered the story of the first moon landing, tucked away in the space exploration section. In addition to reading, there was a storytelling corner where children listened to tales from different cultures, encouraging respect and understanding of various traditions around the world. As the week progressed, friendships blossomed among the teams. They learned the importance of teamwork, communication, empathy by working together. On the final day, parents were invited to see what their children had learned. Each team performed a skit or shared stories about their adventures. Mrs. Elsie, looking around at the excited, chattering groups, felt a warm glow of satisfaction. The Kids Learn program had not only read a love of reading and learning in the children but also taught them valuable life skills, proving once again that learning can be a thrilling adventure.
Asterisk title: The Magic Paintbrush. Asterisk in the heart of Willowdale, there lived a young boy named Leo. Leo loved to paint, but he often struggled with choosing the right colors. He wished for a magical way to learn and make his art better. One sunny afternoon, while strolling through Mr. Baxter's old shop of wonders, Leo stumbled upon a dusty, old paintbrush tucked behind a stack of faded sketchbooks. Intrigued, he picked it up, and Mr. Baxter, noticing his interest, said, "Ah, that's the magic paintbrush. It has a special power. It changes color to teach its holder about the world." Excited and a bit skeptical, Leo thanked Mr. Baxter and hurried home. His tiny attic room, he dipped the paintbrush in water and touched it to his paint palette. Instantly, the brush glowed, and as he began to paint, the colors on his canvas shifted, blending perfectly without any effort from him. With each stroke, images of different places around the world appeared, vivid scenes of a bustling mall, Rket in Morocco, serene mountains in Switzerland, and vibrant festivals in Brazil. Each painting was not only beautiful but also perfectly captured the essence of these distant lands. Leo realized that through each scene, the paintbrush was teaching him about different cultures, the diversity of nature, and the beauty of human expressions. He learned to appreciate and understand the world better, which also improved his skills as an artist. Months passed, and Leo's paintings attracted sitters from far and wide. They marveled at his ability to depict such true-to-life colors and emotions. Leo always smiled and shared his secret: "It's all thanks to the magic paintbrush, which teaches me something new every day." And so, Leo continued to paint, learn, and grow, forever grateful for the magical journey he experienced through his enchanted brush. Each canvas was not just a painting but a lesson in life, vibrant and vivid, learned from the heart of the world itself.
Asterisk title: The Colorful Garden. Asterisk Sunny, a curious 7-year-old with sparkly eyes and a mop of brown curls, trotted behind his mom into their small garden, clutching a packet of seeds that looked as magical as the tales his grandma told. "What are those?" Sunny asked, peering into the packet. Essay, Sunny, are zinnia seeds, his mom replied, trowel in hand, her face lit by the golden afternoon sun. Zinnia? Sunny stuttered the unfamiliar word, trying to wrap his young mind around it. Yes, they grow into beautiful flowers of many colors. But they need soil, water, sunlight, and love to be Sunny's eyes widen. Can I help them grow? Of course. Gardening is like going to school for plants. You learn how to take care of them, and they learn how to grow from you, his mom explained, showing him how to make small holes in the soil. Intrigued, Sunny dropped seeds carefully into each hole, covered them with earth, and sprinkled water with the seriousness of a seasoned gardener. Each day, he rushed from school to water his zinnias up. ND checked their growth. He learned patience, as the seeds took time to sprout, and responsibility, never forgetting to tend to them, rain or shine. Later, sprouts pierced the earth. Sunny was ecstatic. Mom, they're growing. Yes, just like you, a little every day. Sunny beamed, proud of his FL. Flourishing garden. By summer's end, the zinnias bloomed in vibrant oranges, pinks, yellows, and whites. I taught them to grow, Sunny exclaimed one son. NY afternoon, staring in awe at the splash of colors. His mom smiled, kneeling beside him. And they taught you, too, about nature, care, and growth. Sunny nodded, understanding that learning was not just in books or schools but in every little corner of life, even in a garden filled with zinnias.
Title: The Starry Lesson. Once in the quiet town of Willowbrook, there lived a curious little boy named Timmy. Every night, he watched the stars from High's bedroom window and wondered about the vast universe. His questions were endless, and his parents decided it was time for a little adventure. They planned a visit to the local planetarium for Timmy's 7th birthday. On the day of his birthday, Timmy was bursting with excitement. As they approached a large, dome-shaped building, his eyes sparkled with wonder. Inside, they were greeted by Miss Stella, the planetarium director, who had a warm smile and a passion for teaching about the cosmos. "Welcome, Timmy. Today, you'll learn about the stars and how they guide us," she said, leading them to a room where the ceiling resembled a night sky, brimming with stars. The lights dimmed, and the show began. Constellations lit up one after another, each accompanied by legends and scientific facts. Ms. Stella explained how sailors used the stars for navigation and how different cultures saw different pictures in the same clusters of stars. Timmy was fascinated, especially by the Big Dipper. It points to the North Star, which helps travelers find their home, explained Ms. Stella. After the show, Timmy received a star map and a small telescope as gifts. That night, he couldn't wait to set up his telescope. With the star map in hand and his parents beside him, he found the Big Dipper and followed it to the North Star. "Look, Mom, Dad, I'm a navigator now," Timmy exclaimed with joy. From that day on, Timmy learned something new from the stars each night. His early fascination with the night sky blossomed into a lifelong love for astronomy, reminding him that learning was not just about seeking answers but also about continuing to wonder.
In the heart of Sunnydale, there was a little yellow school called Kids Learn, a place buzzing with children's laughter and curious eyes, each morning filled with new stories and little adventures. Among these young explorers was Max, a bright-eyed 7-year-old with an insatiable curiosity about everything. X's favorite place was the Discovery Zone, a corner of the classroom filled with books, science kits, and puzzle boards. One rainy Tuesday, Ms. Harper, the ever-smiling teacher, introduced the class to the idea of planting. With little pots lined up and seeds in hand, each child was about to embark on a journey of growth, both literally and figuratively. Max received a sunflower seed and was instantly fascinated by the promise that this tiny speck could transform into a giant, bright flower. Every day, Max and his friends watered their seeds and kept records in their plant diaries. They drew pictures of what they imagined their plants would look like, and Max always drew his sunflower towering over him, a golden giant watching over the playground. Days passed, and frustrations brewed when all they saw was soil. Max's excitement waned, but Miss Harper encouraged patience and nurtured their young minds with stories of farmers who waited seasons for their crops. Max learned that good things took time and care. Finally, one morning, the children arrived to find tiny outs pushing through the soil. Cheers erupted across the room. Over weeks, Max watched his sunflower sprout leaves and then, one bright morning, bloom into a magnificent yellow flower. Max learned more than just how plants grew. He discovered the virtues of patience, care, and the joy of achievement through persistence. Kids Learn wasn't just a school. It was a garden where little minds blossomed, full of dreams and nurtured by the tender love of learning.
Title: The Magic Treehouse. In the heart of the bustling city stood an old library rumored to house a magical treehouse. Ava, a curious 8-year-old, accidentally stumbled upon this secret while chasing her wind-blown homework through the towering shelves of books. The treehouse, nestled in a dusty corner of the sea. Hildren's section was unlike anything Ava had ever seen. It was crafted from stories, its branches scripted with adventures and leaves shimmering with knowledge. One sunny afternoon, Ava climbed the wooden ladder leading up to the treehouse. Every step whispered a different tale, sparking a gleam of curiosity in her eyes. As she reached the top, she discovered the treehouse was special indeed. It was filled with books from all over the world, each telling tales of faraway lands, cosmic adventures, and life lessons. Ava picked up a brightly colored book titled, Learn with Lizzie the Lizard. Lizzie, a resourceful young lizard, faced various challenges in the story, and with each challenge, she learned something new about the world and herself. Inspired by Lizzie's bravery and curiosity, Ava learned to see obstacles as opportunities to learn, much like her new fictional friend. Days turned into weeks, and the treehouse became Ava's favorite place. Her knowledge grew as large as the tree itself. Science, history, geography, and mathematics. Every book added a leaf to her ever-blooming mind. Her eagerness to explore and learn spread to her friends, who soon joined her in the treehouse, making it buzz with lively discussions and laughter. The treehouse was not just a hidden gem in an old library. It was a vessel of learning, inspiring every child to reach higher, dream bigger, discover. Ava knew that as long as the treehouse stood, the thirst for knowledge would never end in the hearts of those who climbed its ancient steps.
In the heart of Sunnydale, nestled between the whispers of the towering oak trees, was Sunnydale Elementary, a place where every corner buzzed with the promise of discovery. Among its vibrant halls was a particular classroom bathed in the sunlight, known affectionately as Room 19 Inches, where Mrs. Thompson taught her class. With a spark of magic found only in stories, one balmy Thursday, Mrs. Thompson unveiled a giant, colorful map, spreading it across the floor like a treasure maw. Paige, today, we're going on an adventure, she announced, her eyes twinkling with excitement. The children gathered around, their faces lit with curiosity. At the heart of their circle was little Max, a boy with a keen imagination but a shy voice, often drowned out by louder peers. We'll travel with our fingers and leer and about each place we visit, explained Mrs. Thompson, dropping a fake, glittery passport in front of each child. Every new country earns a stamp. The more you learn, the more you earn. The room buzzed as fingers darted from Brazil's rainforests to the icy landscapes of Antarctica. Max, however, hesitated, his finger hovering timidly over India. Mrs. Thompson noticed and knelt beside him. Go on, Max, what wonders does India hold? Encouraged, Max whispered, the Taj Mahal. Yes, and do you know why it was built? Mrs. Thompson nudged gently. Max's face brightened as he recalled a snippet from a documentary. For love, exactly. Mrs. Thompson beamed. See, every place has a story, just like us. As the adventure unfolded, Max's voice grew, with each country visited and each stamp earned. His confidence surged. By the end of the day, not only had Max learned about the world, but he had also found his voice in it. Back at home, to tell his parents about his journey through the colorful map and the stories he had gathered, his eyes shining with newfound confidence and curiosity. Title: The Magic Paintbrush. In the quaint village of Willowbrook, a small school sat at the edge of a whispering forest. The children of Willowbrook were curious and bright, always eager to learn new things. One day, a new art teacher, Mrs. Lila, arrived with a box of magic paintbrushes. These brushes holds a special power, Mrs. Lila announced with a twinkle in her eye. They will paint whatever you imagine, but there's a catch, yo. You must learn something new about the subject you wish to paint. Excited, the children grabbed the brushes and began to think. Little Tommy, always fascinated by animals, decided to learn about owls. He read books and watched documentaries. With each fact he learned, his magic brush painted more vividly, the feathers more intricate, the eyes brighter. Next to him, Emma, who loved the stars, chose to paint the night sky. She learned about constellations, the phases of the moon, and the Milky Way. Her canvas soon glowed with a stunning portrayal of the night, stars twinkling softly. Acros. The room. Lucas was interested in underwater life. As he read about coral reefs and the creatures that inhabited them, his painting started brimming with colors and life, showcasing an impressive underwater ecosystem. By the end of the week, the classroom was filled with breathtaking artworks, each a reflection of the new knowledge the children had acquired. Mrs. Lila smiled, proud of her students. In this class, you didn't paint, you learned about the world, she said. Remember, knowledge is like a paintbrush. With it, you can create wonders. The children nodded, understanding that with every new thing they learned, they didn't just fill their minds but also painted their own worlds a little more beautifully.
In the sunny village of Willowbrook, a small school stood nestled between sprawling meadows and a whispering creek. Each day, the laughter and chatter of Willowbrook's chill dren filled the air as they skipped towards their beloved school. One bright Monday, Ms. Harper, the kindest teacher in town, announced a new project. This week, we'll be creating a little learner's garden right behind our classroom, she declared with infectious enthusiasm, her eyes twinkling with anticipation. Excitement buzzed through the room as children imagined their hands in the dirt and the sun warming their backs. But Oscar, a timid boy with a soft voice, hesitated. He worried about the bugs and dirt, and the potential of plants withering under his care. He whispered his concerns to his benchmate, Elsie, who loved worms as much as she loved chocolate cake. Don't worry, Oscar, chuckled Elsie, plants are tougher than you think. And I'll help you with the wiggly worms. Throughout the week, Ms. Harper and her band of little gardeners dug, planted, and watered. Each seed carefully nestled into the earth promised a new lesson. As flowers and vegetables started to sprout, the children saw firsthand the results of patience and care. Oscar felt a new thrill every time he watered his row of budding sunflowers. Day by day, his confidence grew as his plants did. When the garden finally burst into a riot of colors and scents, he could barely contain his pride. We made this, he said, his voice no longer a whisper, but strong and clear. Veiling, parents and teachers celebrated the little wonders nurtured by their children's hands. Miss Harper smiled at Oscar, who was eagerly explaining the life cycle of Suneth lowers to anyone who would listen. That summer, not only a garden but also a newfound belief in themselves had taken root in the hearts of Willowbrook's children.
Title: The Lost Pencil Adventure **. In the small town of Willowbrook, a young boy named Sammy was known for his curious mind and adventurous spirit. Nay sunny afternoon, while packing his backpack, Sammy realized his favorite blue pencil was missing. Distraught but determined, he decided it was time for an investigation. Wearing his detective cap, Sammy embarked on a quest throughout his house. First stop, the living room. He found crumbs leading. Endure the sofa and followed the trail, only to discover a small colony of dust bunnies, not his pencil. Next, he dashed to the kitchen where his mother was baking cookies. Sammy enlisted her help, and together they searched high and low. In the pantry, beside a box of cereal, his mother found her lost earring. See Sammy, she smiled, every search teaches us something new. Not giving up, Sammy ventured into the garden. He checked beneath the flower beds, around the bushes, and finally near his treehouse. As he climbed up, he heard a small thump. There, in the corner, lay his blue pencil, but it wasn't just the pencil he found. Nestled beside it was his old comic book he thought he'd lost months ago. Triumphant, Sammy learned that sometimes, looking for one thing leads you to discover much more. He also realized the importance of organizing his things better. That evening, as he sat down to draw with his recovered blue pencil, he started listing all he had learned on his adventure. Finding lost things can be fun, and helping others feels good. Also, keeping things tidy saves time. He told his dog, who wagged his tail in agreement. With a grin, Sammy added, and adventures can happen even at home. From that day, every lost item brought a new little adventure and lesson for Sammy, making every day a bit more exciting.
Title: The Painted Sky **. In the little town of Meadowville, nestled between lush hills and sparkling streams, the Meadowville Elementary School hosted its annual TS and Science Fair. Among its bustling corridors of creativity, an eager group of third graders, guided by their teacher Miss Lila, embarked on a project titled, Kids Learn the Magic of Colors. Sophie, a curious and enthusiastic 8-year-old, was particularly excited. The class project involved painting, which was her favorite activity. But there was a twist. They had to mix their primary colors to create new ones and then use these new colors to paint a giant mural of the sky at different times of the day. Miss Lila began the lesson with a simple demonstration. When we mix red and blue, what color do we get? She asked. Purple, the children shouted. In unison, their eyes wide as they watched the colors blend on the palette. And what if we mix red and yellow? Miss Lila continued. Orange, they responded, eager to try it themselves. Palettes in hand, the children started experimenting, mixing colors and testing out different shades on their papers. Sophie, with a focused WN, combined an unusual amount of blue with a dab of yellow, marveling at the new shade of green she had created. As they moved on to painting the mural, the children depicted a sunrise, midday, sunset, and night sky using the colors they created. Sophie's unique green beautifully illustrated the grass under the early morning sky, shimmering with dew. At the fair's end, parents and teachers admired their work. Sophie stood in front of the mural, her heart swelling with pride. She had not only learned about colors but also about teamwork, patience, and the joy of sharing knowledge. Miss Lila smiled at her pupils. See, every color you mix, every stroke you paint, teaches you something new. Never stop learning, because the world, she gestured towards the mural, is as vast and beautiful as the sky you've painted today.
In the heart of a bustling town called Maplewood, there was an elementary school known for its unique teaching method. It was famous far and wide as the Rhyme Academy. At this academy, teachers believed in the power of rhymes for learning, and every classroom buzzed with melodious tunes and children's laughter. One young teacher, Ms. Ella, was particularly enthusiastic about using rhymes to teach. Her classroom was vibrant and filled with posters of catchy rhymes covering every subject. Whether it was the alphabet, numbers, or the days of the week, everything was taught in rhyme. Among her students was a curious little boy named Timmy, who had always struggled with his ABCs and numbers. Like many children his age, Timmy found memorization tedious and challenging, but as Ms. Ella used her musical expressions, something magical began to happen with Timmy. He found himself eagerly participating in the sing-alongs, his tiny feet tapping to the rhythm of the rhymes. The repetitive and musical nature of the rhymes made learning effortless and enjoyable. He could now recite his ABCs perfectly and count from 1 to 50 without a pause. Timmy's confidence soared, and his love for learning ignited. Seeing his transformation, Ms. Ella organized a rhyme fest for the school. Timmy, found skills, was the star performer. As he recited his rhymes, articulately and with gusto, all the teachers, students, and parents were amazed at his progress. The Rhyme Fest was a tremendous success and highlighted the effectiveness of rhyming in education. Parents requested more rhyme-based learning, and Ms. Ella's methods spread throughout the school. Rhymes had just taught a child, they had sparked a change in the entire educational approach of Maplewood. In the midst of tunes and verses, learning became a joy, and education a delight.
In the cozy corner of the rural town of Willowbrook, nestled between the river and the golden fields, was the small but bustling Willowbrook Elementary. In a sunlit classroom scattered with colorful posters and stuffed bookshelves, Mrs. Lara held court, known far and wide for her magical ways of teaching through rhymes. Today was a special day. The kindergarten class buzzed WITH excitement, for Mrs. Lara had announced a Rhyme Time showcase. Little eyes sparkled as they prepared to unleash the power of rhymes, having practiced the whole week. Lily, a timid girl, Elle with big brown eyes, clutched her tiny notebook as her turn approached. Rhymes were her secret weapon. At 5, words often jumbled, tumbling out in stutters and stops. But flowed like a melody, compact and structured, giving her control and confidence. Standing in front of her classmates, Lily took a deep breath and began. The cat sat on the mat, hat in lap, looking at the fat rat. Her words, rhythmic and smooth, garnered enthusiastic claps. Rhymes, she realized, didn't just help her speak better, they sparkled with fun, making learning joyful. Oh, rather than daunting, Mrs. Lara beamed as each child recited, showcasing their newfound vocabulary skills, rhythm, and poise. Rhymes taught them phonetics, rhythm, and a hint of all wrapped in playful tunes. When Ryan struggled with his math basics, Mrs. Lara utilized rhymes, 1 + 1, 2 little fun, 2 + 2, shoes on the glue. About numbers and more about understanding through simple, catchy phrases. As the day drew to a close, parents arrived for pickup, greeted by eager tales of rhymes about bees and trees, oons and spoons. In Mrs. Lara's class, rhymes were more than just set phrases. They were building blocks, laying foundations for literacy, confidence, and a lasting love for learning.
In the small, sunlit room of Oakwood Junior School, the air buzzed with the barely contained energy of Class 1B, a cheerful group of first graders. Today, Mrs. Evans introduced them to the magic of rhymes, her weapon of choice, a bright, colorful book titled Rhyme Time Adventure. Good morning, class. Today, we will learn through rhymes, Mrs. Evans announced, her voice ringing with excitement. Little heads bobbed up and down, eyes wide with curiosity. Why rhymes, Mrs. Evans? Piped up Sammy, always full of questions. Rhymes help us remember, Sammy. They make learning fun, she replied with a smile. Let's start with a short rhyme about the days of the week. Listen and repeat after me. Monday, Tuesday, full of grace, when Day, Thursday, in the race. Friday, Saturday, days so fine. Sunday rests with books and wine. The children giggled and followed her lead, their young voices melding into an Adora BL. Chorus. After a few rounds, even Joey, who usually struggled with days and sequences, could recite them effortlessly. Encouraged by their success, Mrs. Evans moved on to rhymes for M. ATH, combining simple sums with catchy lines. 2 plus 2, join the crew. 4 plus 4, lions roar. As the numbers danced within their rhymes, even complex additions seemed to beck. A part of a joyful playground chant. The power of rhymes unfolded right before their eyes, transforming mundane memorization into a vibrant, engaging experience. As the clock neared the end of the hour, Mrs. Evans closed her book with a satisfied smile. You see, kids, rhymes can be our best friends in learning. The children nodded, their faces glowing with accomplishment. They had danced, sung, and learned, all woven seamlessly together by the simple magic of rhyme. Rhymes, indeed, taught kids, making every lesson a delightful song.
Once in a small town named Riverside, there was a little kindergarten that stood at the corner of Maple Street. The school was lively, full of bright posters and cheerful Otter, but one little boy, Jack, struggled with his words. He stumbled over alphabets and muddled through sentences, making reading an arduous task for him. Miss Lily, CK's teacher, noticed his struggles and devised a plan. She knew how rhymes could simplify learning and make it fun, so she decided to introduce a rhyme time every day AF. Terror lunch. On the first day of rhyme time, Miss Lily started with simple and catchy rhymes. She sang, Ba Ba Black Sheep, and Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, clapping her hands and tapping her feet. Jack and his classmates were mesmerized. Soon, the classroom filled with a chorus of tiny voices trying to mimic Miss Lily's enthusiasm. As YS turned into weeks, Jack began to join in more eagerly. He loved the rhymes, especially the ones with funny endings. Miss Lily also encouraged them to create their own rhymes, which excited every child in the room. Jack thought this was like solving a puzzle. Finding words that sounded the same was thrilling to him. With each rhyme, his understanding of sounds and words improved. He started to recognize patterns and rhythms, making it easier for him to predict and spell words correctly. His reading skills eloped almost like magic, fueled by the melodies and beats of the rhymes. By the end of the term, Jack stood in front of the whole class during the school's rhyme recital. Proudly reciting, Jack and Jill went up the hill, without stumbling. The crowd cheered, and Jack beamed with confidence. Miss Lily watched her students, especially Jack, with pride. Through simple rhymes, she had opened a doorway to language for them, proving once again how rhymes could teach kids not just to read, but to love reading. Once upon a time, in the vibrant town of Melodyville, there lived a wise old teacher named Mrs. Lark. She taught at the local primary school, where children buzzed about like bees in a garden full of flowers. Mrs. Lark believed in the power of rhymes and made it her mission to incorporate them into every lesson. One bright Monday morning, she introduced her class to a new student, Timmy, who had just moved to Melodyville. Timmy was shy and found it hard to remember lessons, often falling behind his SS mates. Observing his struggle, Mrs. Lark decided to use her special tool, rhymes. The next day, she brought a colorful book filled with catchy rhymes and began to teach the class. 2 plus 2 hops to 4, knock and enter math's door, she sang, and the children giggled and sang along. Timmy, listening intently, found himself his foot and joining in with a smile. As days turned into weeks, the rhymes flowed from every subject, from math to science to history. Columbus sailed the ocean blue. In 1492, the children would cheer, their voices ringing in harmony. Timmy, now brimming with confidence, astonished everyone when he recited E multiplication tables with a rhythm. 3 times 3 is a dancing 9, spinning round the line, he proclaimed during a school assembly, earning a round of applause. From his classmates and teachers. Not only did the rhymes help Timmy learn, but they also made the lessons fun and memorable for all the children. Mrs. Lark watched our students grow, their minds and hearts open to the rhythm of learning. Years later, even as they moved on to higher grades, the children of Melodyville remembered Mrs. Lark's rhymes. The melody of education had left a lasting tune in their hearts, proving that indeed, rhymes teach kids not just to remember, but to love learning.
Once upon a time, in the vibrant town of Melodyville, there was a little school right at the heart of Blossom Park. In this school, children didn't just learn through books and numbers, they learned through songs. The teacher, Mrs. Lyra, believed that rhymes were magical keys to unlock the treasure troves of education and creativity in young minds. In Mrs. Lyra's class was a shy girl named Ellie, who led with her letters and numbers. Words jumbled on pages and numbers got mixed up, leaving her often frustrated and disheartened. Mrs. Lyra noticed Ellie's struggle and decided to introduce her to the power of rhymes. The next day, Mrs. Lyra started the lesson with a simple rhyme: 1, 2, buckle my shoe. 3, 4, knock on the door. The class clapped and chanted. Ellie's eyes lit up as she followed along, her voice a soft echo in the chorus. As weeks passed, Mrs. Lyra taught more rhymes, each with melodies as catchy as the last. 5, 6, pick up sticks. 7, 8, to anticipate each number, each rhyme building her confidence and joy. Not only did Ellie learn her numbers, but she also started recognizing words and their sounds. The rhymes helped her visualize and remember, making reading and arithmetic less daunting. Her enthusiasm and improvement were evident, and her classmates cheered her on, all learning and growing together through the universal language of rhyme. By the end of the school year, Ellie could recite, read, and count with ease. Mrs. Lyra's belief in the educational power of rhymes had transformed Ellie and her classmates, instilling in them a love for our learning that echoed beyond the classroom walls of Blossom Park. Thus, through melodies and words, little minds in Melodyville discovered joy in education. Rhymes didn't just teach, they opened worlds.
In the small village of Willowbrook, nestled among whispering willows and chuckling creeks, lived a wise old teacher named Mrs. Appleby. She believed in the power of rhymes to teach young minds and convened a quaint classroom in the corner of her cozy cottage. One sunny morning, as the birds chirped merrily, a new family moved into the village, bringing along a shy little boy named Timmy. Despite his intelligence, Timmy struggled with language and communication. His words often tangled up like kite strings in a gusty wind. Observing Timmy's demeanor and observing his difficulties, Mrs. Appleby invited him to join her rhyme time session. The next morning, Timmy took a hesitant seat on a tiny wooden chair surrounded by their eager children. Mrs. Appleby began with simple rhymes. Cat, sat, mat, she would sing in a rhythmic tone. C, B, knee, the children echoed, their voices dancing in delight all unison. As the rhymes grew in complexity, so did the children's enthusiasm. With each passing day, Timmy's voice grew stronger, his words clearer. Through these melodic sessions, MNY learned not just words, but rhythm and flow. He discovered that words could be fun and that learning them was like playing a tune on a piano, each note important, each rhythm essent. IAL. Soon, Timmy wasn't just reciting rhymes, he was creating his own. Star, far, guitar, he would exclaim proudly. Mrs. Appleby would beam at him, knowing her power of rhymes had once again proven true. Timmy, once a silent observer, became a vibrant participant, his confidence blooming like the roses outside the cottage. Rhymes had not on. Lee improved his linguistic skills, but had given him a voice. In Willowbrook, rhymes taught, touched, and transformed. And Mrs. Appleby continued to teach, one rhyme at a time.
Once upon a time in the tranquil town of Melody Hills, there was an elementary school famed for its unique teaching methods. The most beloved teacher, Miss Daisy, held a special class where rhymes and songs were the heart of learning. Miss Daisy believed that rhymes were not just playful tunes, they were powerful tools for teaching. He had one student, Timmy, who struggled more than most. He found it hard to remember his alphabet and numbers, which made him feel left behind. One sunny afternoon, Mrs. Daisy noticed Timmy's frustration and decided it was time to introduce the class to her magical box of rhymes. The next morning, she brought a colorful, old wooden bee. Ox inscribed with mysterious, curling letters. The children gathered around, eyes wide with curiosity. Inside this box, Miss Daisy announced, are rhymes that will help us learn in a fun way. With a dramatic flair, she opened the box and pulled out scrolls tied with ribbons. Each scroll had a rhyme designed for different subjects. For the alphabet, she taught them, A is for apple, airy and bright, B is for balloon, bursting with light. The rhyme rolled off the children's tongues, and Timmy found himself giggling and singing along, each letter sticking in his mind like a catchy tune. When it came to numbers, the rhyme was 1, 2, buckle my shoe, 3, foo, R, shut the door. This simple verse helped Timmy remember sequences and counts without the burden of rote memorization. As days turned into weeks, Timmy's confidence and knowledge grew. The rhymes made learning enjoyable, and they danced in his thoughts like joyful music. By the end of the term, Timmy was not only reciting his alphabet, ETS and numbers with ease but was also helping his classmates. Miss Daisy's rhyme lessons reminded everyone that learning could be magical and melodies, a doorway to understanding. In Melody Hills, rhymes didn't just teach. They transformed anxious learners into joyful scholars, thanks to Miss Daisy's magical teaching touch.
In the heart of the bustling town of Maplewood, nestled between tall trees and vibrant flower beds, stood the Little Pioneers Preschool. It was a special place where laughter rang as clear as bells and imaginations soared. The cornerstone of Little Pioneers was its beloved teacher, Mrs. Eleanor, whose silver hair and twinkling eyes were almost as magical as the stories she told. One sunny morning, as the children filed into the cheerful, color-splashed classroom, Mrs. Eleanor clapped her hands together. Today, my dear explorer, you'll dive into the enchanting world of rhymes. Little Tommy, a shy boy with an unspoken love for words, perked up. Rhymes were his secret gateway to building castles in the air. Though no one knew it yet, Mrs. Eleanor started with the simple, captivating rhythms of nursery rhymes. Hickory-dickory-dock, the mouse ran up the clock, she chanted, and the children giggled and clapped, trying to mimic her enthusiastic tone. As the day progressed, they moved on to more complex rhymes. With each new verse, Tommy's confidence blossomed. The rhymes were not just fun, they made learning new words so much easier. Each rhyme was a little puzzle, and as he solved them, his understanding of sounds and meanings deepened. Seeing Tommy's enthusiasm, Mrs. Eleanor encouraged him to lead the next rhyme. With a brave, little heart, he began, "Twinkle, twinkle, little star." His voice was soft but filled with excitement. The room echoed with the sweet voices of his classmates following his lead. By the end of the day, Tommy had not only learned many words but had also found his voice. Mrs. Eleanor smiled, knowing well that behind the fun and games of rhyming, a deeper learning was taking place. Rhymes weren't just teaching, They were opening world.
Title: The Magical World of Rhyme ***. Once upon a time in the quaint town of Willowbrook, there was a small, cheerful kindergarten filled with excited kids. Mrs. Ella, the kinder garden teacher, was known for her unique teaching methods that not only educated but also entertained. One sunny morning, she introduced a delightful new way to learn, through R.H. Rhymes. "Good morning, kids," Mrs. Ella greeted. "Today, we're going to have fun with rhymes. They're not just silly sentences, they can teach us a lot." Little Sophia raised her H and timidly asked, "How can rhymes teach us, Mrs. Ella?" "With rhythms and repeating sounds, rhymes make learning fun and easier to remember," Mrs. Ella explained, as she led out a colorful book filled with nursery rhymes. She began by reading, "Ba, ba, black sheep," emphasizing the rhythmic flow and matching actions with words. As she finished, Mrs. Ella distributed papers to the class and encouraged the children to think of words that rhymed with sheep. Eyes lit up around the room as hands scribbled eagerly. "Sleep," yelled James. "Weep," whispered Lily. Moving on, Mrs. Ella led the children through different rhymes, from the classic, Jack and Jill, to Humpty Dumpty. Each rhyme was a mini lesson in disguise, teaching counting, colors, and even morals about getting up after a fall. Observing the children, Mrs. Ella noticed their vibrant energy and retention improving. The rhymes not only reinforced memory but also encouraged creativity. By the end of the day, the children were creating their own little rhymes about everything from trees to bees, seeing the world around them through a lens of rhythmic patterns and sounds. As the school day ended, the children shared their creations, proud of their newfound skills. And Mrs. Ella smiled, knowing that her magical world of rhyme had opened doors to intuitive learning and creativity. The simple rhymes had taught them more than just words, they had taught them connections and joy in learning. And so, in the heart of Willowbrook, rhymes continued to be a cherished tool, growing young minds in the melody of knowledge.
Once upon a time in the small town of Melodyville, where towering bookshelves lined every street, and words fluttered in the air like leaves in the wind, there was a little school that seemed quite ordinary from the outside. Inside, however, magic brewed in Mrs. Lyric's kindergarten classroom. Mrs. Lyric. The power of rhymes to teach children not just to read and write but to think and imagine. Her classroom was a colorful kaleidoscope of letters and sounds. On one particular Monday morning, she introduced her class to a big, bright poster decorated with the rhyme, pat a cake, baker's man. Today, she announced, "We're going to play with rhymes." Tommy, a shy boy with curious eyes, frowned. Rhymes often confused him, jumbled as they were in his thoughts. No tea. Seeing his hesitation, Mrs. Lyric paired him with Julie, a jovial girl who loved words. Together, they recited, pat a cake, baker's man. Ache as fast as you can. Over and over, they played with the rhyme, their voices gaining confidence. "Why do we learn rhymes?" Tommy finally asked as they drew cakes and spelled words together. "Rhymes teach you patterns, rhythm, and how sounds repeat," Julie explained, words tumbling out enthusiastically. "They help us remember better." As the weeks turned into months, Mrs. Lyric introduced them to more rhymes. With each one, Tommy felt the jumbled thoughts in his mind or daring themselves. Rhymes made connections, linking words to sounds, and sounds to meanings. By the end of the year, Tommy was not just reciting but creating his own rhymes. The magic of rhymed words had unlocked his confidence and creativity, showing him a way to express and organize his thoughts. And so, in the magical realm of Melodyville, through the simple, playful power of rhymes, Mrs. Lyric taught her kids not just to read, but to love the music and the words.
Once upon a time in the quaint village of Melody Hills, nestled between whispering woods and sparkling streams, was a little school renowned for its unique teaching and Ethids, the school's secret, rhyme songs. At Melody Hills Academy, every lesson was a melody and every fact a tune. Emma, a bright-eyed village and understandably nervous on her first day at the academy. Back in her old city school, studying had always been about silent reading and writing, so this EU singing approach both intrigued and unnerved her. As she hesitantly entered Mrs. Gale's classroom, she was welcomed by a chorus of cheerful voices singing the alphabet song. Emma watched, amazed, as her classmates sang with enthusiastic gestures, clearly enjoying themselves. Mrs. Gale noticed Emma's awe and gently encouraged her. Join in, Emma. Learning here is fun. We sing, we dance, and we remember things better. Soon, Emma learned that numbers had their tunes and even historical fact S were easier to memorize in song. For multiplication, they sang 5, 10, 15, 20. Multiplication is plenty. The catchiness of facts as easy as humming a favorite song. Weeks passed, and Emma found herself looking forward to school. Rhymes made her lessons joyful, and before long, she was singing along with her peers, her shyness forgotten. Her favorite was the water cycle song, which helped her ace her science quiz. She sang, evaporate, condensate, precipitate, accumulate. That's the cycle of the water state. Through melodious learning, Emma not only excelled academically but also found her voice. At the end of our school play, she stood boldly on stage, leading her friends in a symphony of learned rhymes, showing how far she had come. At Melody Hills Academy, rhymes did more than teach. They transformed fear into confidence, and learning into joy. Emma's growing smile was a melodious testament to the magic of music in education. In the cozy town of Melody Hills, nestled between verdant valleys and singing streams, the elementary school was buzzing with excitement. The annual Rhyme Time Festival was around the corner, a cherished event that encouraged children to learn through verses and songs. Inside a sunny classroom, Mrs. Elsie, a vibrant teacher with an infectious love for lyrical expressions, was preparing her class. The topic of choice was Rhymes Teach Kids, and her young students, a lively group of 5 RST graders, were her eager participants. Kids, Mrs. Elsie announced, adjusting her glasses with a smile, this year, we'll show everyone how rhymes help us learn and have fun. Little Jenny, whose enthusiasm for words often left her tongue-tied, raised her hand. Mrs. Elsie, can rhymes help me speak better? Yes, Jenny. Rhymes improve memory and pronunciation, making learning new words easier and more enjoyable, explained Mrs. Elsie. The children were divided into small groups. EACH assigned a classic rhyme to perform. They practiced diligently, linking actions to their words, their faces bright with understanding as they mastered each line. On the festival day, the school auditorium was draped in colorful banners and filled with proud parents and cheerful music. One after another, groups of children went on stage, their words flowing in rhythmic harmony. Jenny's group performed last. With a deep breath, she started, her clear voice leading her friends through their rhyme about the adventurous Miss Mary Mac. The words, practiced to perfection, came out effortlessly, sparking the room with rhyme and rhythm. Applause thundered through the hall as the performance ended. Jenny's parents beamed with pride at her newfound confidence. Mrs. Elsie, watching from the wings, felt a joyful tear roll down her cheek. Through rhymes, her students had not only learned but grown. And in the chorus of their voices, the heart of Melody Hills sang.